Howdy.
My name is Lena.
Great
Nice to meet you.
Yo, it's awesome to be with you too.
I want to ask you some questions. Will you be honest with me?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's start.
Nothing but the truth.
I know last year you celebrated your 20th birthday. Yes? It's really?
Yeah, I celebrate my 20th birthday every year. That's how I roll.
I mean your band, of course.
Yeah, you gotta keep it punk. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the band, we just had our 20-year anniversary. It's been pretty incredible to think of being able to be a band for 20 years. It's so rare that a musical unit is able to stay together for 20 years. It's hard sometimes for some friendships to last 20 years. So it's been really exciting. And then last year to celebrate, we trekked all over the world. We went to so many countries, and we played songs off of all of our favorite records. And this year, now we have the best of 20 years coming out on Fat Records. And so it's our songs that we believe are our best songs from each of our records.
Okay, thank you. What were the goals of the project when it started and now?
I think that the number one goal for me was to start an anti-war band. I mean, that was my number one priority. And in my mind, I saw nationalism, which is corrupted patriotism, as a tool used by governments and politicians and religious leaders to coerce people to act in a way that is not in their best interest. Namely, going and fighting wars for corporations or for politicians. And rarely the people who kill and bleed and die in war benefit from war. The people who benefit is a very, very small percentage of people who normally make money off of natural resources being taken over or the arms trade. And so I just felt like that was something that needed to be exposed, especially because at the time Anti-Flag was started, I had just lived through the first Gulf War. Mm-hmm. So America had just invaded Kuwait and then Iraq for the first time. But when I started the band, the United States had just finished its first war with Iraq. And I witnessed the use of flags everywhere and politicians talking about patriotism. And it was very clear that it had nothing to do with patriotism or freedom or liberation. It was all about oil. And so that was my particular goal when I started the band. And it's changed over time.
Yeah, it's every time changed. I want to ask you if something changed in your goals.
Well, I think that we broadened our perspective. I mean, that core message is still there. To me, I still feel like it's the most important message, along with the idea that human beings need to see each other not as a flag or a religion or male or female or straight or gay. They need to see each other as human beings and treat each other accordingly. And I think that that's a core message now that the band carries forward.
And my second question is what achievement of your band do you consider the most important?
Well, the most important issue for the band, I believe, is just the idea that people treat each other with respect and dignity. That's the very first thing. You know, if we're not treating each other well, then we can't move forward, we can't progress as a society.
When you play music, do you feel your emotion when you play it one, two, second time? Do you feel the same emotion?
You know what, it's interesting that you asked that question because we just played in Montreal 1 or 2 nights ago now. I'm very jet-lagged. Mm-hmm. But what amazed me on stage as people were singing back to us and during our songs, and I still get that same rush, and I still contemplate, you know, what the meaning of the song is, and I still get fired up based on what the song is about. And it's incredible that after all these years that I still feel that way, but I was literally thinking about that on stage while I was rocking. I was thinking, wow, like this issue fires me up.
Okay, thank you. And imagine you meet yourself in the past and the future. What would you like to say?
What would in my past self, I would just say to myself, go back. You don't want to go to the future, man. It's spooky. The future's scary. That's a great question. You know, I think that you know, if you're not learning new life lessons as you go through your life, you know, if you're not contemplating how things should be or how you should act, I mean, I don't know, I think you have to be a very dull person, you know? I think I would tell myself not to take everything so seriously, that not everything in life is life and death. You know, I think that when we started the band, not only when it came to politics, but just in my personal life, you know, there were so many things that I took everything as if it was the most important decision of my life. And over the years I've learned that you gotta roll with the punches, go with the flow. It's, everything doesn't have to be that serious. And there are issues that should be serious and you should take very serious, but there's a lot of things that you're just like, hey man, chill out, alright? So,
Okay.
As for my future self, gosh, it's hard to say, but I guess I'd ask myself if oh fuck, I don't really have a good answer for that question, because it's you know, I guess it's I think that our future selves obviously are formed off of the experiences that we go through, and obviously I'd ask myself if I want to avoid anything terrible.
What forms of political protest do you consider essential? Maybe some demonstration, less peaceful things.
Well, I think anything peaceful is acceptable, and you know, there are other forms of political protest, including direct action, which I think is an appropriate place too. But as long as people are not being hurt, I have no problem with political protest at all. As long as people aren't physically being hurt.
Yes.
That said, I mean, I believe that people have the right to defend themselves too, and you know, again, every situation is very different. I mean, if the reason that the civil rights movement worked in the United States is that it was non-violent. So when white police were beating up African Americans and the African Americans weren't striking back, that made people very sympathetic with the cause, and so non-violence can be really important. So you know, there's a lot of methodology about what form of protest is most acceptable and what is the best. But in the end, I think as long as you keep it peaceful where people are not being physically harmed, I think that's important.
Another question for you. Do you know any of Russian bands?
Not really, no. And no. I should and I don't.
You have already been to Russia?
Yeah, about 4, maybe 5 times now.
Could you tell me about your impression of the cities you have visited?
Yeah,
which of them?
Well, St. Petersburg is incredible, which is where we are today. Yeah, it's an amazing city. The best part about what we do in Anti-Flag is we do get to travel all over the world, and then we meet all kinds of people. But what you find is that there are great people everywhere you go, such as yourself. And you know, on those days when I'm feeling really hopeless about the world, and I'm like, you know, you just think, man, with pollution, with war, with corruption, and you know, poverty, and I just think to myself, when I'm feeling like there's no chance that the world will ever succeed or get better, then you come to Russia and you meet some super cool people.
Yeah, really?
And it gives you hope, you know? Like, it gives me hope, and that's one of the things that inspires me to keep doing what we do. do is just, it's the people that we meet and the interactions that we have with them. And my experience in Russia has just been phenomenal. I mean, it really, like, we have a lot of friends now coming to these shows, and they're people that we've met over the last couple times here, and I'm like really excited to see them.
Okay, if we talk about people, you have of course a lot of fans in Russia.
Yeah.
And what is the main message of your music? What do you want to say to your fans?
Well, I mean, it's sort of like we were talking about earlier. It's the idea that everyone should respect each other, you know, and it's as long, you know, it's okay for people to have debate. It's okay for people to disagree, but as long as it's done in a respectful way and obviously in a non-violent way.
It's great.
And it's also that the message too is that everybody can make a difference. I mean, you know, it's incredible how just holding the door open for somebody and saying hi to them, you know, when somebody's you don't even know how that is going to affect somebody in a day. That might be just what somebody needs to keep their day from being bad and actually turn their day around and make it good. I mean, I think change starts with us, each of us individually, and how we treat each other. And everybody has the power to make a change.
Yes.
And even when you think you don't, trust me, you do.
Can you say a few words about your concert?
In what way? Like what we expect at our concert?
Yes,
or what?
Yes.
I mean, I think that an anti-flag concert is a place for everybody, regardless of their size, their gender, their religion or lack thereof, their nationality, their sexual orientation. Everyone can have a good time, and it's an equal opportunity for everybody to have a good time. You know, come to the show, rage. I mean, we go off. You know, we have a good time, but it's possible to do that while not hurting anybody, without being stupid, without bullying people, and that's what I love about the anti-flag show, is that it's a place where people can be themselves and know that they're safe to be themselves, and that there's other people who are around them who are going to support them in being themselves. And you know, that when I started a band, that's what I was looking for in my life. You know, I was like, man, I want a place where I can be who I am and not be afraid that people are going to judge me and put me down for it. And I love that with the anti-flag we create that place for a couple hours and then I end the show.
25 июня приходите на концерт, Джастин споет вам свои песни.
Justin Sane here from Anti-Flag. We're stoked to be in Russia. So far this trip has been incredible. Just hanging out with this crew right here is, if this is any sign of how awesome this trip is going to be, it's going to be really good. So come on out to the shows. They're going to rage. We're going to have a good time. And hopefully we'll see you there. Peace.